Runner Chris Sanders owned the Stony Brook and Colonial Relays in his races, while freshmen Morgan Zeckley and Caitlin Poes showed grit of their own for the women's team. Hello, I'm Jake Smolinski.
And I'm Brendan Rigney. Lacrosse split the difference on their last two games, while softball continues their pleasantly successful season this spring. You're watching LaSalle TV's home for Explorer Athletics, SportsLine.
Welcome to the show. Brendan and Jake here, and we have my chat with lacrosse star Allie Ilgenfritz, who's having herself quite the season on both offense and defense so far. What else, Brendan?
Well, Jake, before Kevin Cook gives his marquee matchup, we also have a portion of another Coaches and Coffee hosted by yours truly.
I'm just tingling with anticipation. But first, let's catch up on what went down this past week for our athletes. The men's track and field team has been running nonstop these past few weeks. On March 28th, they ventured up to Stony Brook to compete amid a raging snowstorm that luckily did not cancel or delay the meet. Chris Sanders gave the Explorers their biggest accomplishment of the day, dominating the track and winning the 600-meter run with a time of 1 minute and 20 seconds. After a week off, the team returned to action at William and Mary on April the 3rd for the Colonial Relays. Sanders was at it again, winning the 800-meter race and posting the leading time in the Atlantic 10. Along with the sophomore, Nick Ross placed 5th in the 1500-meter run, finishing within 3 minutes and 55.56 seconds. The distance medley team of Sanders, Lewandowski, Ross, and Colin Perlot added to the LaSalle's success at the relays and managed second place, only 2 seconds behind Villanova. Coach Peterson said he is very happy with the level of competition the team has brought to the meet.
For the women's team, Stony Brook served as a showcase for a successful LaSalle duo. Senior Kaylee Solano made a powerful first attempt in the 600-meter to place first. In the 800-meter, freshman Morgan Zeckley earned points for the blue and gold after placing first herself with a time of 2 minutes and 18 seconds even. Fellow freshman Caitlin Poes was right behind in third, finishing nearly 4 seconds later. Additionally, Megan Connell ran the 1500-meter in 4 minutes and 49.32 seconds to take third. The women then traveled to Virginia with the men's team for the Colonial Relays in Williamsburg. Junior Shannon Dwyer bested her own record in the 800-meter finals with a time of 2 minutes and 15.68 seconds. Maintaining leadership in the long-distance events, Morgan Zeckley placed 9th out of 55 runners in the 1500-meter. Poes, Amber Jenkins, Taylor Hackett, and Zeckley formed the winning team for the distance medley, 6 seconds in front of any other competing team. The fastest of the blue and gold returned to Virginia for the George Mason Invitational on April 11th.
And on April 4th, men's rowing faced off against Washington College on the Chester River. The tough weather conditions required the course to be shortened from 2,000 meters to 1,800 meters. And LaSalle did not fare well, with its varsity 8-boat losing to Washington College by a 45-second difference. For Cox and Grant Maddock in the novice 8, LaSalle's race was a seesaw against the junior varsity 8 of WC before losing by just 3 seconds. The varsity 4 raced against both the varsity 4 and novices, finishing in third.
For the first race in the month of April, the women's rowing team faced off against Bucknell and Villanova on the Schuylkill River on April 4th. In windy conditions, the women's varsity 8 team had one race against the lightweight 8 boats of both. LaSalle finished in third behind Bucknell and Villanova, respectively. The Wildcat boat captured the win with a time of 7 minutes and 1.4 seconds. Junior Caitlin Rees coxed the boat, while sophomore Sophia Lacanelli was in the bow position, and senior Catherine Goldschmidt was in the stroke position.
Then, on March 26th, both the men's and women's tennis squads faced trouble in matches against Loyola and Hofstra. In Baltimore, both teams failed to come out of Little America with a victory as the women's team fell 6-1 and the men lost 5-2. Their luck would not improve with Hofstra as the women lost 6-1 against while the men dropped their match 7-0. Men's tennis continued their season a few days later on Saturday, April 4th against the George Mason Patriots. Deshaun Fennell and Mark Robinson dropped the first doubles contest 8-4, followed by Dale Fetterman and Tom McLeod with their loss of 8-0. The Explorers failed to get anything going in singles competition, losing all 4 competitive matches and the final 2 by default. The final decision favored George Mason by a score of 7-0.
LaSalle golf team competed at the Wildcat Invitational on Monday, March 30th and Tuesday, March 31st. The event was hosted by Villanova at the White Manor Country Club in Malvern, Pennsylvania. The Explorers as a team recorded their best single round score of the season, going 8 over par in the final round. Redshirt sophomore P.J. Osierno contributed to the Explorers' effort by tying a season-low score with a 1-under-70 in the final round. Tony Eifpoon recorded his best round as an Explorer with an even par 71. Eifpoon finished tied for 14th in the 95-player field, and Osierno finished the event tied for 8th, leading all Explorers. LaSalle finished 6th out of the 16 teams that competed at the Wildcat Invitational. The Explorers will look to continue their strong play at the Liberty Invitational on Friday, April 10th, and Saturday, April 11th. Tennis. What's going on with tennis, Jake?
I don't know. It seems like their rhythm is really, really off. I don't know, like, what's just not working for them, but...
I was going to pin it on maybe when the fences of the Belfield courts maybe fell to the ground during that one nasty storm, but I think this problem goes a little deeper than that, Jake.
Definitely. I think it definitely might actually have to do with the fact that we don't get a chance to practice in the warm weather like a lot of these other teams.
Indoors, man.
Yeah. And so the baseball team started a 3-game series versus Dayton on March 27th with a 7-3 win over the Flyers. Pitcher Luke Riley struck out 10 and only allowed 2 hits in 6 innings. Cameron Johnson and Mark Williams helped themselves to 2 hits and 2 runs apiece, and the Explorers scored 5 runs in the 2nd inning alone. However, Game 2 was far different as LaSalle fell in a grisly 11-1 loss. Despite Justin Korenblatt's 18th straight game with a hit, the Explorers struggled on offense in the windy conditions, while the Flyers soared past 5 LaSalle relievers. However, sandwiching this loss was another win, this time a nail-biting 5-4 triumph. Dayton jumped out to an early 4-0 lead before Josh Savanicus found home off of Ryan Welling double. In the 7th, Mark Williams drove in 2 to cut the lead to 1. Welling tied the game in the 8th before outfielder Derek Prucknall touched home base thanks to a Michael Flex sac fly. And right-handed pitchers Tom Fazzini and Adam Cherry preserved the win in the 8th and 9th, respectively.
LaSalle would follow this with back-to-back losses in a doubleheader with Morehead State. 8 runs in the 3rd inning of Game 1 would help the Eagles to a 15-10 win over the Explorers. Mark Williams batted a .400 and had a homer, while Korenblatt added 2 RBIs of his own. Game 2 was a heartbreaker, with Morehead fighting back to overcome a 14-13 LaSalle lead in the 7th with 4 runs. The offense would sputter for the next 2 games against Rider and Coppin State. In this first game against the Bronx, the Explorers lost at home 5-2 thanks to 4 Rider runs in the 8th. Starting pitcher Jordan Meyer did well in his 4 innings by allowing no hits. In a strange twist, the Blue and Gold would then tie Coppin State, a team that has tallied only 2 wins this season. LaSalle fell behind 4-1 early, only to score 1 in the 4th and 2 in the 5th. However, before the comeback could be completed, the game was called due to weather, and the 2 teams added the 4-4 score to their tied game column, tying Coppin State. They had 2 wins all season. It was maybe the weather had something to do with it, and
baseball is a really, really finicky sport. Every once in a while you get really lucky off a pitch. Sometimes just the wind just does not work to your advantage. It's tough out there, especially at what is the name of our diamond? I'm blanking here. It's it's whatever.
DeVincent Field.
Yes, DeVincent Field.
But yes, weather has a lot to do with it. Sometimes you have those circus games just like that, but baseball's finicky. But on to softball. On Wednesday, March 25th, the softball team took a short trip to Penn. The Explorers' offense started off with a bang as sophomore Suzanne Swinicki cranked a 3-run homer that drove in Lynette Seidler and Taylor Rawball. 4 straight Quaker runs in the 4th against starting pitcher Mary Kate Scott were answered in the top of the 5th, in which freshman Valerie Pinero jacked a solo home run to tie the game, at 4. After more runs were exchanged, LaSalle brought in 2 more via Michelle Haggerty walk and a Kristen Travers sac fly in the 6th. Another Pinero home run in the top of the 7th gave the Explorers a nice cushion as they earned a 7-6 win.
And then on Sunday, March 29th, the women traveled to the Bronx for a doubleheader against Fordham. Game 1 started out as a classic pitcher's duel, with both squads staying scoreless throughout the first 4 innings. The Rams' offense exploded in the 5th with 7 runs. Fordham's pitching staff kept the Explorers at bay and enforced an 8-0 Game 1 victory. Fortunes did not turn in LaSalle's favor for Game 2, as the team gave up 8 runs yet again. Just as before, the Rams were kept off the scoreboard until the bottom of the 6th inning. Fordham compiled 8 hits, including a 3-run home run to take control of the game yet again. The only run that LaSalle could muster was in the top of the 1st inning, where sophomore Michelle Haggerty scored on a wild pitch. However, the Explorers could not get their offense going and fell to the Rams by a score of 8-1.
Another doubleheader awaited the Explorers on Saturday, April 4th, as they played the women of St. Bonaventure at home. The change in scenery helped, obviously, as LaSalle's offense heated right back up. Power hitter Val Pinero blasted a grand slam with no outs over the right field fence to put her team up 4-0 over the Bonnies. The freshman tacked on another run in the next inning on a 2-out RBI single to make it a 5-0 Explorers lead. Alicia Alton also hit an RBI single to give the Explorers 6 runs, which proved to be more than enough as they cruised to a Game 1 victory of 6-2. Game 2 proved to be more of the same. Panera led the second inning off with a solo home run before an RBI single in the third, along with Alicia Alton's own to give LaSalle the 3-0 lead. The Bonnies added runs in the third and fourth innings, but that's as close as they would come. Alton cranked a 2-run bomb to left field, followed by yet another Panera solo homer to make it a 6-2 advantage. Sophomore Christina Basquera added to the home run derby in the sixth inning with a 3-run shot to stretch the lead and help the team earn a 10-5 win.
And lacrosse had an up-and-down start to their A-10 season over Easter break. The Explorers first took on George Washington in a gritty win at McCarthy Stadium on Sunday, March 29th. Allie Ilgenfritz scored her career high of 6 goals in this game. An offensive juggernaut in midfield, Ilgenfritz took control of this game starting in the first half with 4 goals. Things carried on in the second as the Colonials couldn't stop the senior as she drained it 2 more before the final horn. Caitlin Fay added 2 goals, Caitlin Brostrand scored 1, and Kelly Furman chipped in another. Goalie Gabby Antonelli shut down a final rally by George Washington with 3 clutch saves. The game came to a close with a final score of 10-8 in favor of the Explorers.
For the next A-10 matchup, LaSalle took on heavy rival George Mason on April 3rd in Virginia. This would prove to be quite the challenge for the Explorers, who couldn't work up momentum. Nursing a 2-goal deficit going into the second half, the Explorers made a 5-goal push before the George Mason offense rebounded. Even with Faye scoring 4 solid goals and Brostrand adding 2, LaSalle took a tough loss of 12-9 to bring their record to an even 1-1 in the Atlantic 10. On the brighter side, Faye is only 3 points away from reaching her 100th career point, and with the way she's currently playing, it could even be next game. That's a nice cherry on top to help, with the spirits of that loss there, Jake. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So.
But, I have a special treat because while basketball season ended weeks ago, why does this cause for our SportsLine team to cease reporting on the whereabouts of the team? I don't know. So, Cody Barr and I contacted LaSalle Athletics' Kevin Bonner in hopes of speaking with men's head coach, Dr. Giannini. While we originally aimed for an interview of maybe 10 minutes tops, things got out of hand pretty quickly, and we spoke of a lot of things such as Will Ferrell and staycations. So, while you eagerly await the finished product in the weeks ahead, here's an abbreviated clip of Coaches and Coffee Edition 4 with the man, the myth, the pizza fan, Dr. G. Hello, Brendan Rigney here, 4th edition of Coaches and Coffee with the one and only, the winner, Coach G of the basketball team. Coach, how are you doing right now? How are you?
Not bad.
Not bad.
I appreciate it. And, I like the winner part. We'd like to do it a lot more.
Something I've noticed is you're very passionate on the sidelines. But off the court, what are you passionate about in terms of hobbies?
It's a great question. I love to fish. My grandfather taught me how to fish growing up, and I love him to this day for it. The biggest thing is you have to know what you're doing, hopefully catch some fish, but if you really love the outdoors, like some of my close friends, they can look at a lake or a sunset and for a couple minutes and say, okay, that's great. Kind of like Chevy Chase when he sees the Grand Canyon on
vacation.
Vacation. Yeah, he looks at it, okay, that's enough, let's go now. But if you love the outdoors and you can catch some fish and know what you're doing, it's a wonderful way to spend your time.
Funny thing you bring up movies, Chevy Chase Vacation. One of my favorites is Christmas Vacation, but that's just me. What about you? What do you think of in terms of movies? What's your favorite movie or genre?
When you said Brendan, I immediately thought of Brendan from Step Brothers. I'm a big Will Ferrell fan. And of course, there's no resemblance, coincidental or realistically. Don't be upset.
I'm not upset. I'm flattered that
it's only coincidence, but I love Will Ferrell. I love funny movies.
Speaking of Will Ferrell, though, we have a cardboard cutout of him dressed as Ron Burgundy in our studio.
It's a fine person for our students to emulate.
Yeah, I mean, he's finds the newsworthy topics, obviously. But what do you think of that? Maybe did you enjoy the second one? Because I didn't. I didn't really like it.
I'm stunned that I haven't seen the second one.
You haven't seen the second one?
It's unbelievable that I haven't. In fact, you just gave me a great reminder to do that. Really like the first one, and I have heard more people are disappointed a little bit in the sequel, but love the first one. And listen, you've motivated me to catch up on my Will Ferrell watching. Another great Blades of Glory.
Nobody talks about that movie.
And
I love that movie.
Best ice skating movie ever, although it's the only one I could think of.
I can't think of any other
unbelievable
ice skating movies. Where did you go on your last family vacation thing?
Oh, geez. You know what we do? We right now have a very consistent pattern. We have an alum friend named Jim Ahern who lets us stay at his house for a few days in June. And then we go to Ocean City, New Jersey for 4th of July.
What's your favorite pizza on the boardwalk?
You know, it's always, coaches upset people off, and of course I'll upset someone, but the original owners of this have LaSalle ties. Preps is so good. Preps Pizza. Most people will mention some of the bigger names, but I'm telling you, I never go wrong when I recommend food. Anyone who goes to Preps you won't go anywhere else. You'll like it that much.
You know what you want.
Yeah,
you know what you want out of pizza. That's a good thing to have. I don't. So, you know, I just kind of.
You're still searching?
I am.
For your pizza identity?
Soul searching for pizza right now.
Your pizza identity.
Well, Coach, thank you for coming on so much. Fantastic. Coaches and Coffee, edition number 4. Thanks for watching. Dream come true, that one. But here are some of your awards this week for LaSalle athletes. Freshman runner Justin Guerra earned yet another A10 Rookie of the Week honor after his 3rd place finish in the 300 meter at Stony Brook. At the Colonial Relays, meanwhile, Chris Sanders and Morgan Zackley found success as well, earning Co-Performer of the Week and Rookie of the Week, respectively. On the softball field, freshman Val Pinero owned A10 Freshman of the Week and ECAC Division I South Rookie of the Week after batting 6 for 6 and knocking in 3 homers in the doubleheader against St. Bonaventure. Moving to basketball, Jordan Price has been selected to the National Association of Basketball Coaches All-District Team. The transfer led the team in points per game, minutes per game, three-pointers, assists, and free throw percentage. That is a mouthful, Jake. And finally, volleyball coach Caitlin Rimgala is one of 11 D1 coaches to receive the 30 Under 30 award. The first-year coach helped the LaSalle volleyball team to a 10-21 record, 9 games more than the team had the season, before her arrival last year.
Outstanding. And this takes us to our first commercial break, but stick around. We have my sit-down with Allie Ilgenfritz of the lacrosse team. Stay with us.
My first symptoms were
constant tingling in my toes.
Double vision.
They said you have multiple sclerosis.
Kind of had to get a grasp on reality.
I had to adapt and change very rapidly.
I had to learn how to drive with my hands. Yeah, that was interesting.
A symptom may cause you not to be able to do that anymore. And at one point, I wasn't able to do any of those.
Since I've been cycling, it's definitely helped my walking.
It's a fantastic opportunity to be working together with a common goal of curing MS, and sharing is the key.
Welcome back. I had the pleasure of sitting down and talking with sophomore lacrosse player Allie Ilgenfritz. Take a look. Hello and welcome to another edition of On the Sidelines. I'm your host for today, Jake Smolinski, and I'm sitting down here with number 27 for the women's lacrosse team, midfielder, Allie Ilgenfritz. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Hey, you're welcome.
All right, so I want to ask, so you've been having a crazy season so far this year. You're a sophomore, and you are putting up some serious points, goals, everything. So coming off of last year where you have all these rookie honors and everything, what is it like to come back and even performing at an even better level?
It's really been so cool, actually. Maturing as a player, I think I've really stepped it up, and I've improved on my game. And I think I really worked hard over the summer on the things that I needed to work on and just mature as a player, and it's been really awesome.
Yeah, and so especially this year, I know we've had quite a really, really long winter and everything. Where did you guys get the chance to get ready for the off season? Is this
mostly outside? I mean, we were outside a lot more than last year, but we would go in the gyms. We weren't allowed to practice when it was in the negatives, and we'd only be outside for an hour if it was below 20 degrees. So we were outside a lot.
Hey, that works. I mean,
yeah.
It's intense. That's very intense. And so then, how has this been making the transition now, coming into a lot of these games where the weather's getting warmer? You guys were down in, I think, Jacksonville, Florida and everything.
Yep.
Tough game. What has that been like for you guys, just trying to get back in the swing of things, especially when you're playing in a high level?
Yeah, it's actually, I like the warm weather better. I think we all like the warm weather better. I mean, penny weather. But coming from the warmth to the cold, I don't really notice, because when you're running around, you get hot. So it's not like it really had that much of an effect, except for when it burns your face because you're running.
Yeah, gotcha. And so then for A10 this year, you guys only have a couple of games left. What are some things that you guys are going to be looking for as you guys charge through the end of this season?
Well, we're really looking to work on the things that we need to work on now, and we've really been stressing that the things that we need to get better at in order to beat like top teams like Richmond and UMass. But I think we're really looking to go to the A10s again like we did last year. I think we have a good shot.
Yeah, and so who do you think the biggest challenger is going to be, though, for this season?
As of right now, I think UMass is probably the top. They're always really, really good. So, yeah.
Yeah, and so with the team this year, I know you guys still have some really like high scorers like Caitlin Fay and some really, really impressive players. How has it been this year? How have you guys been working as a squad, like especially with some newer players coming on?
We've really been focusing on me, Kate Fay, and Kate Brostrand working together because we're all leading scorers, and I think we've built on that from the beginning of the season because it was an issue kind of at the beginning of the season, and we've all been looking for each other, and I think it's really helped our offense with us three working together.
Yeah, and also another thing that's been really awesome to see is not only are you playing like a lot of really, really like crazy offense, but you're also like, you know, duking it out in the midfield and everything. Because I know you guys also have Gabby Antonelli, who's been playing really, really awesome.
Yeah,
what is it
awesome.
like having her as your goalie?
It is awesome. She's a great goalie. I've never played with such a good goalie before. And some of the saves she makes, I'm just like, how do you do that? Like, I can never train myself to do that.
It's insane. And just taking it back a little bit then, so where actually are you from?
I'm from York, Pennsylvania.
You're Pennsylvania? Okay, and awesome. I actually was just like doing like a quick like,
Yeah.
like that background check before bringing athletes on. You have a really insane like resume, I guess, for lacrosse. What was it like how did you end up at LaSalle with everything?
Well, at first I was going to go to UMBC. I was really looking to go there. And then their head coach got fired. So we kind of lost contact and all that stuff happened. And it's funny actually because Temple recruited me. And my parents were like, oh no, don't go to a city school in Temple. And here I am at LaSalle 5 minutes away. But yeah, I really like it here. It's really nice.
And what was the transition like from playing in some of these like leagues coming out and then doing collegiate?
Collegiate level is so much faster, and I love that. I love that so much. And it's so much more physical. You can actually hit girls with your sticks a little bit. You can really get in there, but I really like it so much more.
Yeah. And I guess, so personally then, what is your goal as you guys approach like the A10 championships and just the playoffs in general?
My personal goal, I think, is to improve on things that I really need to improve on. Like, I really should be getting draw controls. I mean, it's not really my role. We always discuss roles in the team, and I think that changing my roles to be more gritty in the midfield when I can be.
Oh, well, that's awesome. And I wish you guys luck for the rest of the season and everything. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you.
Yep, and you guys have a game coming up on
Friday.
the 10th. Yeah, on Friday the 10th.
Yep.
So, and that's against Bonaventure?
St. Bonaventure, yep.
Awesome. All right. Well, anyway, that is it for On the Sidelines. Thank you, Allie. Back to you guys.
Well, now that we've covered the past, let's look to the future. Kevin Cook brings us this week's marquee matchup. Check it out.
Hello, and welcome to another edition of the Marquee Matchup. I'm Kevin Cook, and I'm here to tell you which upcoming LaSalle sport is going to be highlighting this week's action. This coming week is stacked full of Atlantic 10 conference games, but the most exciting is coming to us from the track. The LaSalle women's track team make their way to the starting line in split dual action this weekend among 3 meets. The team will be broken up among Ryder, Bucknell, and George Mason. The women have had a successful season so far, competing at the Big 5 Invitational, Stony Brook, and the Colonial Relays. The recurring theme for all of their success is their freshman class, who have really stepped up to the line to replace lost talent from last year. For a team that has been restructuring with a new coaching staff, the women have really thrived. And to stick with the theme, we looked at 2 key freshmen for this week's track meet. Freshman Morgan Zeckley has really made a name for herself this far. For the Atlantic 10 champion in cross country, Zeckley is dominating a new race. The 1,500-meter run, Zeckley is best known for the team for her sub-5 minute mile. The native Texan has been winning the race this far this season. She's coming off a fresh new record at the Colonial Relays. Zeckley ran the mile in 4 minutes and 28 seconds. Yes, you heard me correctly, 4 minutes and 28 seconds. She replaced the mile record set by Tony Ann Rossi, who ran the 1 mile in 4 minutes and 45 seconds in 2001. Zeckley has surely taken off in the running world and will likely be key to our success this upcoming weekend. The next key runner is another freshman, Caitlin Poes, who has become a vital part to the distance medley team here at LaSalle. Poas, although injured during her whole cross season due to knee complications, has been making a name for herself and did not let the injury slow her down. Just this past weekend, she helped the DMR at the Colonial Relays win first place and helping earn the team 10 points previously. Poas also earned points for the team in the 800-meter run at Stony Brook and finishing in top 10 in the 3,000-meter run at the Big 5 Invitational. We will look to her for a strong performance and also as the runner to keep an eye on. Now, with our key runners taken care of, let's get to the keys of the meet. First off, we need to adjust at the fact that spring is here. After running through frigid winter, the women need to get used to being in the warm weather once again. That means hydrate. Yes, with warm weather comes more perspiration and the need to drink more water. To run their best, their muscles need to be loose and hydrated. Remember to keep your Nalgene water bottle close at hand, ladies. Secondly, pace yourselves. In any race, it is easy to jump the gun and start off too fast. This applies to short and long distances, except for the 100 and 200 meter races, of course. The women need to find their groove, find a girl they can pace off of, and then give it all they have near the end of the last couple of laps, and sprint past the rest of the pack. And speaking of the rest of the pack, for the last key, don't get stuck in the back of the pack. The longer races especially. The girls stick together, and it is a tight group to fight your way through. The women need to make sure that they don't get pushed to the back in the beginning of the race, or else there is no moving forward. They need to establish their place near the front early on and then stay there until the final laps of the race, where they need to take the lead. Well, that does it for this week's marquee matchup. Make sure to see what happens in this week's anticipated sporting event. For SportsLine, I'm Kevin Cook. Go Explorers.
And that just about wraps it up for us this week. If you can't make it out to see the marquee matchup, make sure to tune in next week for our coverage. Be sure to keep up with this weekend's other sporting events by following us on Twitter at SportsLineLTV. We post game updates and sneak peeks into the upcoming show.
Also, check us out on Facebook at facebook.com/LaSalleTV. We welcome you to send us your thoughts and suggestions about the show on our website.
For Kevin, Brendan, and our entire SportsLine team, I'm Jake Splinsky.
And I'm Brendan Rady. Thanks for joining, and we'll see you at the game.